Hello, teacher.
Good evening, Ivan. Hello, Luis.
Hi, teacher. How are you doing?
Good. How was your day?
Excellent. Very tired because after tomorrow we have a family's day. So we have been preparing the whole week that day, and tomorrow we have to work from 7 in the morning to 7 at night. Saturday the same, 7 in the morning to 8 or 9 at night. And we finish the court, how do you say, the term. Yes, we finish this term today. So we have a lot of work and we don't have a recess and nothing. Next 15, we are gonna leave for vacations. Thank you.
Okay, and what are you planning to do for the family day?
Okay, we have a special day. Always this year we have dances, Colombian dances. So they prepare each grade prepare one special music, cumbia or the other kind, Munde Tolimense, and we do like how do you say bazaar? I don't know
I
how
would
to say.
say a fundraising. Let me
Okay,
write it
yes,
here. Fund
yes,
fundraising.
and they sell. Okay, we sell empanadas, hamburgers, uh, parrillada, everything for the parents and for all of us. And we are gonna be very tired as soon as we finish.
Yeah. So, what the idea is to get some money to
Yes, for the
invest
school.
in the school.
Yes, for the school because they are restoring some of the buildings that are very old because Divino Salvador School is like 70 years, 65 or 70 years. So they have the same structures.
Hmm,
Yes,
very old.
they want to modify it.
Oh,
Thank you for asking. Hi, my partners, Claudia and Ivan. I'm very happy, but I'm very tired.
well, this is our last encounter, and the idea is to review the information that you read last week and that you are reading this week. And last week, you read about CLIL. So I would like you to tell me your understanding of CLIL. What was that? What does it entail? And what does a teacher need to have into account when teaching a, when teaching using the framework of CLIL?
Teacher,
Ivan.
I have a question about that because uh, I found some web page about when where I went to find a job, and some applications say that they are looking for a English teacher with knowledge about click. I don't know if that the way to pronounce that. But the point is that I don't remember. The point is the question I have is uh, in this material and on those videos that we started, uh, we we get something about they could use this in other subjects. I mean, no exactly in English. So my question is, if some school, high school or elementary school, use uh, this method, the person that is on charge of this have to be a English teacher or how's work this?
Okay. So CLIL has some principles. It's not a method. So we will check. It's not necessary that the teacher knows about English or uses CLIL to frame his English classes. But I would like to know if any of you have some information about it, of what you remember about it before I tell you about that, about CLIL. What do you remember about CLIL? Uh,
Yes. Teacher, I we're going to say sister because we call the teachers sisters there. Sister, no teacher. I read that is a method. In that method, we can teach better or to prepare better our classes because this is like transversal method. We touch different kind of subjects, and it happens because okay, I read that clearly in the. I saw the video. I watched the video, and it started saying that we they create clear because our people, our youths, couldn't talk. They lack of thinking skills, creative thinking skills, and problem solving skills. So they found this because students need more highly active participation, and what is important that we can guide them to a different kind of creative thinkings, and they, they require that we introduce them really into the English learning because around the world they discover that's the reason that they create PISA, the exams. And a few years ago, I remember that one of our ex-minister, education ex-minister, told that we had the best education around South America. But when they present PISA, we could see that it was a lie because in numbers we always have having this the best education here in Colombia, but really it's only those are only numbers because we didn't apply many things. So numbers, and it's a lie. I am very sad of this. I'm very worried about that. That's the reason I'm trying to improve my English level and improve what you teach here. And it is a very interesting way to develop our classes.
okay, Luis, you mentioned two important aspects and is integrated. You mentioned that other subjects are taken into account: arts, geography, science, maths. So that means integrated. So we integrate the content of other subjects when we think about using it in our English classes. So it's using the contents of science or social studies or ethics or arts or maths in our classes integrated, so students don't only learn about English but also about the other subjects. And as you mentioned, it's a response to the need to develop on the students the ability to develop high order thinking skills. We mentioned some encounters ago that when we have students identify some vocabulary and remember it and practice it, those are basic skills: identify, remember, and practice. But high order thinking skills are the ones that you mentioned: make decisions, be creative, work in groups, uh, analyze, synthesize, compare, contrast, summarize. So those are more difficult, and in order to develop them, it is necessary to use other ways of teaching. But something that you said is not correct. Clean is not a method, meaning that a method has stages, steps that teachers follow in class. This is not a
It's a
method.
system, teacher. It's a system. Sorry.
Okay, yes, we need to understand it that way because clean doesn't tell us these are the stages to teach in class, but take into account all these theories. Clearly, it's a summary of theories about teaching. So, the theory of developing high order thinking skills, the theory of using content in classes, and the theory of integrating that content in English classes, and more and other theories. So, what are those other theories? And what are the four main C's in CLIL? So in the videos you watch that there are four important aspects in CLIL that we need to take into account.
Yes,
Who
the forces
remembers?
are content,
Yes,
content communication, culture, and
Culture.
I don't remember the four. And cognitive,
Sure.
content,
content,
communication,
communication, culture,
cognitive, and culture,
and cognitive.
culture.
Uh-huh. Right. What does it mean? That we need to find out ways to uh, in our classes, in our English classes, take culture to the classes so students can compare, for example, Colombian culture with American culture, North American culture, uh, or for example, Colombian culture with British culture or Colombian culture with Australian culture. Yeah, so we need to find out a way to to take to the classes topics in which students can compare cultures. Content. So that's what we talked. What content? The content of other areas, arts. So arts in North America compared to arts in Colombia. Uh, Aspects of geography in North America compared to aspects of geography in Colombia. You mentioned cognitive, so we need to take into account how students learn. There are different theories about learning. And communication, it means what is the language that we use to communicate. So let's review that. Communication here. What do you remember that the video mentioned about communication?
It includes the four abilities: writing, reading, speaking, and listening,
And non-communication.
non-verbal communication and verbal communication.
Mhm.
Well, it's related to the language that we use. So the language can be verbal and non-verbal. The verbal language can be those that vocabulary about the content that we will teach. So the content of arts or the content of science. So the language related to the science topic that we will teach. And the language that we use to obtain something. So the language that we use to exchange information in a store or exchange information in a bank or to talk to our friends. So it communication is telling us, take into account that we have some words and some and a language that is used for specific subjects: science, arts, geography, social studies, ethics, and some language that we use to exchange information or communicate in social situations or in transactional situations, which are those ones where we want to ask for information or give information, for example, in a bank or in a store. And it says, take into account that in your classes, English classes if you are going to use arts, for example. So you need to use words related to similar to Spanish. Those are cognates. Yes?
Teacher,
Yes, Ivan.
there was a question in the test about that that for me was a few, I don't know how to say, confused because they asking something about that the language that of the contents and say something about Jim Cummings and what how it is called that. But the confused to me is the point that confused me was uh, in my experience uh, when I gonna start a topic, I have to know that the vocabulary that I gonna use is already known for the students, you know. But when here in this video they talk about that, I'm not sure if it's about that the vocabulary or the language is building by the students, or I have to bring that to the class and and it's already built. So the students they don't have a option to do that again. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I understand your question, and it's the concern of many teachers. So many teachers start classes with a list of vocabulary, thinking that students cannot make inferences about the meaning of those words. Look at the picture here of the man, and look at the list of words here. Most of the words here are similar to Spanish: planets, atmosphere, universe, gravity, galaxy. So those are cognates, words similar to Spanish. We have to use them when we teach basic levels, but also we need to have in mind that students have previous information in Spanish about different topics. So if you are teaching a group of high school students, they have already learned about planets and stars in Spanish because they are about 12 or 15 years old. So they have some knowledge of the world that we need to profit from. It's not that you are teaching them something they have not heard before. You are just using a different code that is English, but they have some previous information about it. And that's why you need to try to have students connect with the information that you present in English. So when a place, a school asks you to use CLIL, is because they want you to use contents of other subjects to teach your classes and the culture, and not to present a list of words, but to use the topic. So, for example, how an object can go through different processes in order to change the way it is presented. So, solid, liquid, and the other fluids, for example. So that's information that if we teach in a high school class, they already have learned about it in Spanish in primary. So we take into account that previous information to present as a reading and not a list of words, and have students make inferences about the reading. I mean,
Okay.
was your question answered, Ivan? Did I answer your question?
Yes, teacher, thank you.
Teacher, excuse me.
Claudia.
please, I didn't understand about the what mean cognates.
Uh-huh.
Cognates in the English communication. Could you please give me some examples?
Okay. The word planet is similar to the word in Spanish that is planeta. So those words that have similar roots are
Okay.
cognates. So words that are similar in English and in Spanish are similar. Those are cognates.
Teacher, let me say something. And Claudia, the opposite of that is called false cognates. Is so common in English, or you can find that false friends, friends or false friends.
Mhm. Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Um, okay, who else remembers about, for example, about cognitive? What are the theories of cognition that CLIL takes into account? So cognition refers to the way we learn. We uh, we learn, we acquire new knowledge. So what are
Different,
those?
different
Anna?
cognitive. It depends the topic, teacher. From primary, it's use different topics, no? For example, for about exam, you can see, you can observation the student cognitive, no?
It takes into account that people learn in different ways.
Okay.
That's one theory. People learn in different ways. Other theory is that we need to teach students how to learn.
Learning to learn, yeah.
So there are strategies to memorize information, to apply it, to practice. And the other is about
Also
promote,
not.
promote high order thinking skills, making
Okay.
decisions, be creative, working in groups, summarizing, comparing and contrasting, and lots are the opposite. Lots are low order thinking skills. So identify, remember, memorize, and understand. To ask a person to understand information is very easy compared to asking the person to use the information to solve a problem. So the idea is to have students work on the more difficult skills. So a school that wants you to use clean wants you to teach not in a traditional way, but to use information from science, art, geography, music, and the other subjects to teach your classes.
Okay. Sometimes I use arts. It depends the topic. For example, now in the third grade, I use the games for the topic is a preposition and the per house uh, and objects house. But I use different topics in this word in this in English, no? I use arts for primary. I prefer art.
So, for example, what is the topic of arts that you have?
This moment preposition I use for and in the home. Use preposition in the home. For example, the the television is on the table, or the kitchen is next to the bedroom.
And
Yes.
how is that connected with
But
arts? How did you connect
yeah,
that with arts? What is the connection with arts?
um, explanation. For example, my student made uh, sentences, but using remember photograph or move it in the last time. Use um, the photograph. No, now digital in only camera. Uh, for, no, it's very
So
difficult to
you use
explain.
photos. You use photos of
Yeah,
huh?
if yeah, for but it made the similar for us.
Well, but that's not clear, Anna. In clear, for example, you choose a topic of,
Oh,
uh, for example, how to create different, or let's say, how to draw
okay.
the parts of the house using shapes. Let's suppose that we are gonna have that topic with primary school
Okay.
students. So you teach them that there are some shapes, or that there are, or the shapes that the basic shapes that are triangle, circle, rectangle, and square, that you can use them to create, to draw different objects of a house. So,
Yeah. And sometimes I use music. Yeah, for this, for example, like the topic is preposition at home, and sometimes I use music in my class. Yes.
mhm.
It's depends on topics. I use different dynamics or didactics.
Yeah, but when you think about a grammar topic, that's not clean. When you use clean,
Yeah,
you don't
it's
plan a class
difficult
with grammar.
explanation. Yeah.
So,
For now, I made a didactic notebook. Yes, with my students. Yes, for use this notebook uh, or make with my student for explaining explanation the different topics. Yeah, but it's difficult explaining uh, explanation the for now. I have photos for explanation, but no, it's difficult for me now explanation this idea,
okay,
no?
to explain your
Yes,
idea.
yeah, explain my idea.
So, if you choose a topic of arts or science or geography, you need to use pictures to
Yes, I use
explain the
pic.
information,
Yes,
as
I
you
use
mentioned.
pic. Yes, I use a flashcard or picture or videos or, for example, in fourth grade, I use videos about tornado, uh, about weathers. Yeah,
Mhm.
yes.
Let's suppose that for a second grade class, we choose the topic of changes that animals suffer. So when they are born, then they grow, then they reproduce, then they die. So we have to use pictures, for example, to explain that process.
Yeah.
That could be a topic of science that we can use to teach. So it's not never related to grammar, but to contents of other subjects
Okay.
that are not English. But we use the English code, to teach the lesson.
Okay.
What else do you guys remember about CLIL, or questions that you may have about CLIL?
Teacher, I have one question. I have been reading about taxonomy, Bloom's taxonomy, and it talks about two types of thinking skills. One is lower order thinking skill, that are lots, and the higher order thinking skills are HOTS. And it says that lower order thinking skills are remembering, understanding, and applying. But our goal is to apply higher order thinking skills, that we can achieve those skills using more hands-off and activities on projects. Is that clear? Is what I say?
Yes, just that applying is not low but high order thinking skill. And let me show
Uh,
you a picture of
Applying
is high. High is a high skill. It's a
but
difficult one.
that's the reason that I was, how to say, when you write, I wrote the whole text of the videos, and I wrote lower order thinking skills are remembering, understanding, and applying. And I say, why applying? But it says more, maybe I made a mistake when I made the transcription. I have to check it from the video that is cognitive video transcription. What I did, that's the reason maybe I got confused.
Okay, let me share with you the list of skills.
Thank you. Because I understood that hands-on activities and projects are our activities or instruments to find higher order thinking skills, to achieve or to reach the
Yes,
higher thinking skills.
yes, those are the ones that we should promote. So here we have remember, describe, name, list, write, relate, find, and tell. They are easy. Understand, outline, translate, predict, discuss, compare, restate, explain are easy. The difficult ones are here. So apply, solve, illustrate, examine, use, compose, classify, show, investigate, contrast, categorize, explain, examine, compare, identify should not be here, evaluate, assess, prioritize, justify, recommend, decide, rate, and choose. Those are difficult ones. Create, plan, construct, imagine, design, compose, and invent. So when we plan a class, we should have in our objective one of these words. So, for example, students in the class will create, or for a project. Students for at the end of the project will create uh, different presentations to exchange information about cultural aspects of Colombia. Students will design, uh, let's say, students will design a brochure to explain uh, different problems in their community. Students will recommend some ways to prevent car accidents. Students will explain the process of let's say recycling plastic. So something difficult, but
Or
sometimes with projects it takes more than one class. With other methods, it can be done in 2 hours. It depends on how difficult the task is.
that image is the image with the birds that in Bloom's taxonomy, yeah?
Yeah.
So those are the verbs that we use for preparing the class or for creating the curriculum, all those things. But really, I am gonna check because I try to do my best when I transcript. They says lower ordinary thinking skills are remembering, understanding, and applying. Maybe they divide in a different way in the video. Where they remember, understanding, and applying, and maybe they put analyze and evaluate, or maybe I made a mistake. I'm gonna check, teacher, and I maybe write you to understand this part. Thank you very much for the explanation. It's
Okay.
very clear.
Any other question about CLIL?
Mm, mm.
No, teacher, you clarify all the things that we maybe didn't understand.
Okay, so we're going to move to the second topic, that is what you are reading this week. It's about assessing or testing. So I would like you to watch the first minute and 30 seconds of this video. So watch it from minute 0 to minute 1 and 35. What are you going to watch in that video? A student who has a basic level answering a question in an oral exam. So after you watch that, we will do a testing exercise. So please watch it and then we will meet again. Okay, are you done with watching the video? It's only the first minute and 30 seconds. Just the answer of the first question.
Sorry, teacher.
Okay, you guys just have to watch the answer of the first question. So only the first minute and 35 seconds.
Yes.
Okay. Claudia, what criteria would you use to assess that student? So it's a student that is a beginner, right? Let's suppose that you need to create a rubric to assess her performance. What aspects would you include in the rubric to assess the student's performance?
Mm, maybe vocabulary.
Okay. What else?
Um, the use of tense, grammar.
Okay. What else?
Hmm. What? Vocabulary, grammar.
Okay. Let's see.
Mhm.
Let's see if your classmates have other aspects. Jorge, did you watch the video?
Yes, teacher. I'm thinking about my pronunciation. Maybe.
Pronunciation. Okay. What else?
Mm, how are the ideas connected? Is there a clear sequence between the ideas? Yes, question. That's right, teacher.
Okay. All right. Maria, did you watch the video?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Would you add other aspect to the list?
Pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, connection, the ideas. Concentration. I don't know. She's
Concentration. Okay.
yes. Concentration. Topic. Sh-
What do you mean by topic?
yeah, the topic a teacher gave it to her. I think she her previous. How can I explain previous knowledge about the topic?
Okay. Any other?
No.
All right. What about the other students? Do you have any other criteria?
Teacher, fluency.
Fluency. What is fluency, Ivan?
Fluency is when I I think that is when you have the ability to express yourself without mistakes in the for example, now I don't have fluency with without pause and without use. I don't remember how to say muletillas or things like that, or using it, but with some purpose. You know,
Okay.
it's the way that the person developed his performance in order to the topic that the teacher is asking her.
Okay, let's suppose, or let's say that those mistakes are to express yourself easily, right? That you can communicate your ideas easily. So you say without pauses. Okay, any other aspect that you would have into account to assess that student's performance?
Teacher, maybe I would add like a timeline, or I don't know how to say, because I took advantage of the video when she was talking, and
Uh-huh.
she was guiding by herself during the day, you know. But I think I would take advantage of the
Like would be like details or explanations? Because for that specific question, she used like the uh, no, she used like the situation. She actually answered the completely the question because the question was, what type of clothes do you like to wear when you are at home and when you go to a party and when you go to the university, I think. So,
yes, she uses the timeline very well.
well, that is called task fulfillment because she answered completely the question. The question was
Okay,
divided into three
perfect.
situations. Okay, any other aspect?
Teacher, one question. What about if she started saying when I go to a party, and then she say when I am home, and then she change, you know,
Uh-huh.
is really okay, or
No, it's okay because the question had those situations. What types of clothes do you like to wear when you are at home, when you go to a party, and when you go to the university? So she remembered the whole question and she answered completely to the question.
but it doesn't matter the order.
Yeah,
If my student ask first, she say in the university, or when I go to the university, then she back when I am home, and then she back when I go to a party.
that is related also to cohesion and coherence. If what the person says is has a sequence, a coherent sequence, and in this case, the order of the answer is connected to the question that she was asked.
Thank you, teachers. Is sequence the word?
Okay, any other criteria that you would have into account?
Maybe body language.
Uh-huh. Any other?
Teacher, maybe we can talk about if you want to look for the influence of maternal language, is that good too?
So that will be related to vocabulary, like and what Ivan mentioned, that is false cognates or false friends. Okay, now imagine that you are the teachers that need to give that student a score for their oral performance. So you need to take into account all these criteria to give her a score. So how would you give the score? Would you divide 5 or 50 points into those, we have 3, 6, 9 criteria, or would you give more uh, percentage to one of these criteria, or how would you do that?
Teacher, maybe I take in account first that she could explain in a good way with fluency, and she didn't stop. I gave the
More
more points.
percentage to fluency? Okay,
Yes, to
so
fluency, and that they talk without stopping. They felt secure of what she said, and cohesion and coherence. Of course, grammar, but in what I want in my case is that my students start talking, start speaking in English. If they make mistakes, grammar mistake, but you told us that she is basic level,
she has a
so
basic level, yeah.
she has a basic level, so we have to take in account that that is not intermediate or is not a high level.
Okay, so let's think about what you said, Felipe. You mentioned that what is important is that the student is able to communicate the information, so that if the student is fluent and is coherent, so you will give that person, or you will have that criterion as an important one, so you will give that criterion a high percentage. Of the 50 points, how much would you give to that criterion?
Of the 15,
50, yeah.
50 points. Okay, okay, because we grade from 1 to 50, yes? Is what you
Yes,
said?
yes. If we grade
Okay,
from 0 to 50, how many points would you give to fluency, coherence, and cohesion?
I would give 5%.
5. Okay. So it means that the
25,
other
25, teacher, 25.
25. It means that the other 25 will be divided, in your
Yeah,
case, will be
in my case, yeah.
divided to the other 8 criteria, or would you change also the percentage?
Okay, maybe 20, maybe 20, and I can divide the other 30%.
Okay. And then Felipe will divide the other 30% to the other 8 criteria.
Yes,
Oh,
teacher.
all right, that's in your case. What about the others? Do you agree with that? Would you do that in a different way?
In
It
my
depends.
opinion, teacher,
Claudia?
sorry, yes. In my opinion, the vocabulary and grammar is very important for for the student because she's beginner, but the topic is very simple.
Okay. Somebody
But
else has a different view of assessing this
Sure,
student?
in my opinion, with some experience that I have in one institute, they used to use a checklist.
Uh-huh.
So we used a checklist when we uh, did a write test, or maybe if I did a interview, or just a question about like this example. But the point is that you have one goal, is that the student have to speak English. Yeah. So uh, I know that some people put that the points in this way, maybe more points to one skill, or maybe less, something like that. But if you put the same to all the targets, is the same, because the final task is that that person can explain herself in order to the question that you did.
Okay, so you mentioned that in the place where you worked, there was a checklist.
Yes.
Okay, so and there were no points, no score for that person, but a checklist to find out if the student was able to communicate.
Yes.
Okay, that's okay. That depends on the place on the place. I'm not saying it should be done in every part. For example, those in those schools where there are no traditional there is not a traditional education, so they don't have this type of assessment. They have portfolios so students can write and then they can see their progress. And there is more reflection and no, there are less, uh, less that's called summative assessment. So that every, let's say, 2 weeks, students have a test or a quiz, or every 2 months, students have a test and they are given a score. I'm just mentioning this because in the schools or in the places where there is an assessment that is a traditional one, there are points and scores, and it is necessary to reflect about what is more important when we assess oral tasks or written tasks, because it's very subjective. We see that Claudia gives more importance to vocabulary, that Luis Felipe gives more importance to fluency and coherence. So let's suppose that Claudia gives that student let's suppose a 40.5 as a general score, and Felipe gives that student, as an example, uh, 4.8. Yes, so the difference is 3 points. And let's suppose that George gives the student a 3.5 because the student made mistakes in the way of in the structure. So let's suppose that teacher George gives a lot of importance to grammar, and so he thinks that since the student made three mistakes about grammar, so she deserves a 3.5. So since this is very subjective, when we teach for a school or when we teach for a language center, it is important to think about rubrics that can be constructed with the whole group of teachers, or at least the group of teachers that belong to that teach in the same level. I'm going to show you a rubric that is just an example and is used in a place where traditional education is used. So in that place, the important criteria were phonological control and fluency. The maximum score was 1. Task fulfillment and vocabulary, the maximum score was 1. And the structure, the maximum score was 3. So in that place, the most important was that the students were accurate, that didn't make grammar mistakes. Because the 3 students that made a lot of grammar mistakes could have had a lower score or a low score. And the students who were fluent, have good vocabulary, could have or were very good at that but made grammar mistakes, could have a low score. But if students didn't answer with in a fluent way and had no a lot of vocabulary but didn't make grammar mistakes, so they had a higher score in this place. Yes, that's the rubric for that place. So the idea is that since speaking and writing are subjective, the subjectivity of what is more important, it is important to talk with your with your coworkers who teach the same level, the same basic level, or the same pre-intermediate level, or the same advanced level, to agree on these criteria. Why? Because I can promote a student to the next level because I have a different way of scoring their writing and speaking. My coworker decided to not promote a student because he had a different criteria to assess that student's writing and oral performance. So rubrics created with the people, with the other teachers that work for the same courses is important in order to have a criteria that is similar when promoting the students to the next course or to the next level. Is there any question about this or comment?
Teacher, as you said, it depends of the place that we are working because
Yeah.
before last year, okay, last year we started grading students by competences, according to the European Common Frame, but according to the Ministerio de Educación Nacional. See, we are trying to fix that kind of evaluation. And for that reason, we try to change the way of grading of quantitative, but it's a process. But before that, we grade the students by the skills, listening, speaking, writing, and reading. And before that, in another school, we grade by topics. They talk about topics, so it's very different. So this is very important to understand that what you said, that we have to agree with the other teachers what we are gonna do with the rubrics. But in a school, it's very difficult to make a rubric because if we make rubrics, we have to make rubric each class that we're gonna present. We are going to present and we are gonna grade. But it's important to understand and to know what you are showing us in this rubric.
Well, yeah, it depends on the place. In some schools, the criteria or the competences are already listed. Let's see here. So, probably here. Okay, yeah. So there are some competences that are listed. So linguistic competence, social linguistic competence, pragmatic linguistic competence. And in some places, they say, well, for the linguistic competence, at the end of the course, students need to be able to communicate about these topics using proper grammar and vocabulary for the level. The sociolinguistic competence. Students are able to identify or to use better, to use the language for formal and informal situations regarding let's say, topics of business, let's suppose. And so on and so forth. Pragmatic linguistics students are able to identify the vocabulary, to use properly the vocabulary for addressing different, for addressing people who have different roles in the context of business. So let's suppose that this is these are the competences that are listed in a language center where the emphasis is English for business. So that based on these competences, teachers need to create a rubric to grade different tasks. So is to give each one of these competences another score or a percentage, so that when the students are either writing or talking or listening or reading about a business with the syllabus for that place and the course, we can tell the student, okay, you are doing well on the vocabulary and grammar that we studied, or you are not doing well on identifying formal and informal situations in business, in a business context, etc. So the rubric is helpful because you need to tell a student what he or she is doing well or what he or she needs to improve. So the rubrics helps to tell the student you need to be careful with this and you are doing very well with this. Yeah, they are not easy to create, but if you work on that, that's going to be easier for you to tell the student what he or she has to do better or what he or she is doing well. Anyway, since writing and speaking are subjective, when grading, when giving the student a feedback, rubrics will help you, and you will create them depending on the place, vision of what the students need to be able to do in the course. If it's a vision of grammar, so you will have a rubric similar to this. If it's a vision about communication, it will be totally different. So grammar will be the most important when scoring, will have the highest score, but the opposite. Comments or questions about this?
No, teacher, I agree with you.
This week you are reading about other types of testing and assessment. So there are different types of tests, and there are different types of questions in tests depending uh, on the view of the place where you are teaching. If it's communicative, if it's the competency of that student need to develop is only the linguistic one. If it's if what you want to grade or give students feedback about is their performance in a project, you will have these skills here, but you have responsibility, creativity, uh, you will have a group work. So the descriptors will be student develop good skills to work in groups, respects others' opinions, is able to understand others' ideas, in the criteria of creativity will be the proposal or the way to present information is new, is attractive, catches the attention in the description of let's say decision making. So it could be the student was able to um, organize his group in order to answer the question, or the student has problems to create an agenda to answer the question, etc. So the skills here for projects are not going to be linguistic, not phonology, vocabulary, and structure, but about high order thinking skills, making decisions, responsibility, group work, uh, creativity, etc. And it could be a checklist that help students to self-assess their progress, not something that the teacher assess, but the students are the ones, or their peers, their classmates, could be in charge of assessing. So you see, the rubric can be totally different if your view of teaching is not grammar based, but if you are teaching with projects, or if you're teaching with tasks, or if you're teaching with CLIL, with contents, if you are using other ways to teach. But again, these are very useful, rubrics are useful when you assess either writing or speaking, or you ask your students self-assess those skills. Questions, comments?
No, teacher, that's clear. Thank you.
Oh, teacher.
Okay, this is our last virtual encounter. On Sunday is the deadline for you to take the last questionnaire. So on Monday morning, I will publish your grades, the final one. So you have to check them, please. And before Wednesday, if you see any mistake, please email me before Wednesday so I can make the changes. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, teacher.
Yes, teacher, thank you.
Thank you very much, teacher.
Teacher,
Yes, Ivan.
but why on the part where we find our qualifications, the the test is like with a line over him?
I didn't get the
I don't remember the word. Está tachado,
what?
donde encontramos las calificaciones. El último test aparece tachado.
Sí, antes de que la profe, siempre aparecen así, teacher. Después ya se lo habilita para que pueda subir las notas, pero siempre aparece con la raya ahí, pero ese test está habilitado.
¿Cuál
Okay.
raya?
I
Una raya
didn't
que
know
aparece
that.
cuando nosotros miramos en grades, que aparece una raya, por ejemplo, dice hasta until 9 of June, y aparece una raya encima, pero como si no estuviera activo. Pero cuando uno va al test, él está activo y su merced es la que maneja las notas y la que sube en ese momento.
I didn't know.
For the last questionnaire. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, because you will see the grade only after the deadline. So on Monday morning.
Okay.
Good. So I appreciate your participation during all the encounters. Uh, Maybe we will meet again in other courses. Well, hope you have a good vacations, rest.
Oh,
Yeah, it's necessary for all of us. So that's all for this semester, and we'll meet maybe next semester.
Okay, teacher. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank you,
teacher.
teacher.
Thank you, teacher.
yes,
Bye
teacher,
bye.
we appreciate
Thank you,
your classes,
teacher,
your
and classmate for
your
this
teaching.
course.
God bless you. Have a good day and see you next week. Or maybe we have comments. God bless you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye
bye,
bye.
everybody.
Okay, teacher. Bye
Bye,
bye.
Bye.
teacher.
Bye bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay, bye bye, guys.